We are live. We are live. Welcome to College Football's Peek Around the Corner with your host, Greg Pflugar. We cover everything in college football because we love everything in college football. And if you do as well, if you need just a little bit of extra college football content to get you through the days, to get you through the nights, subscribe to our channel. Smash that like button if you like our content. Share the video with your family and friends. Share it with your priest, your psychiatrist, your significant other. Share it across all your social media platforms. Welcome into the house that sits on the corner of Keith Jackson Parkway and Kirk Gowdy Avenue. Welcome in 38th row. 38th row. If you were here for our last live show, peek around the corner. For the first time, San Diego State got into the auditorium, and they're sitting in the 38th row, the third row from the back at Holy Smokes Theater. There's a reason why they came in finally into the auditorium, because there was some steam that San Diego State is finally putting a little bit of their chips towards the Big 12. How much interest do the Big 12 have in San Diego State? They have somewhat of an interest, but Big 12 is going, they're waiting for some bigger dominoes to fall ahead of San Diego State. But if you go back to our last live show, we made it a point. San Diego State got into the auditorium, and I think you can see why now. UConn still in that 10th row. Arizona State and Utah in the first row. Colorado remains at the center of the stage, sitting there alongside Kliakoff and Yormark, and Arizona still a couple arm lengths away from Colorado. They're on the stage. They're not quite at the center of the stage. Nothing has changed from 2 days ago in our Peek Around the Corner Holy Smokes Theater. Nothing. This San Diego State, I have a lot to say about it, but it does not change the setup of the theater. We moved San Diego State into the 38th row. There's a reason we did it, and I think you can see the dots. I'm going to try to be as kind as possible. I've been a little feisty lately. So I'm going to try to be kind. I have a lot to say. We're going to get through my monologue as quick as possible so we can get to your comments and to the phone calls as quick as possible. Thanks for all of you for joining us this afternoon, late afternoon here Central Time. James Foster, John Menser, Empire Marketing, Stephen McNeely, Troy W., Tim Bailey's, let's do this thing. Let's do it. Nathan Campbell, Randy Taylor, howdy y'all, Derek Marie, Kyle Visser, John Menser, BR7062, Jim Troy, Gary, Tim, Coy, Nobunga, Mark, thanks for coming in again, Steve Perez, and of course, Mr. Hoosier, Daniel Montecastle, Steve Perez, Maverick Buster, Go Greg and the Little General, you're both on the first row. No, we're not part of the story. I'm doing the best I can not to be part of the story. Roll call. Monovision Immaculate, Ryan checked in. Curtis Brown, Nick Finn, Kevin Pryor, Salt of the Earth, Douglas Hall, Rice Man, Clinton Moses. Okay, thanks to you all for coming in today. San Diego State. Let's get to it here. Let's not waste any more time. Sources, Pete Thamel broke it this afternoon. Man, I cannot wait to get to your comments. I cannot wait to get to your phone calls. The PACT community makes this show go. And I cannot wait to hear what you guys have to say. The title of this live show is San Diego State intends to resign from the Mountain West Conference, but they are playing all of their cards wrong. I have no idea. I have no idea what they're doing. I have no idea what the president is doing. First of all, the athletic director has been talking way too much over the last weeks and months. And now this. Let's go through the article and then we'll discuss it more. Sources, San Diego State tells Mountain West it plans to exit. San Diego State gave the Mountain West written notice this week that the school intends to resign from the Mountain West Conference, sources told ESPN. In the letter, they asked the Mountain West for a 1-month extension. God. I don't know if I can even get through this. Troy W. Beautiful comment. Have you seen the Seinfeld episode where George quit and came back to the office and the boss is like, why are you here? Yeah, I'm not sure I can get through this. Again, the personal goal for me is to be kind. Gentleman Greg, I got to focus on that. San Diego State gave the Mountain West a written notice this week that the school intends to resign from the Mountain West Conference. Sources told ESPN. In the letter, they asked the Mountain West for a 1-month extension, given unforeseen delays involving other collegiate athletic conferences beyond our control. As of now, there does not appear to be an invitation to San Diego State from a Power 5 conference. No, there is no invitation. There is no standing invitation like other people have erroneously reported. San Diego State does not have a standing invitation, neither does Gonzaga. It doesn't work that way. San Diego State has not applied because there's not an invitation. Pac-12 hasn't invited them because Pac-12 doesn't have a media deal. How would they invite San Diego State if they don't have a media deal? This seems pretty obvious to everybody. Okay? The withdrawal letter intends to resign from the Mountain West. That was the first letter that went out from San Diego State to the Mountain West Conference this week. The withdrawal letter, which came from San Diego State President Adela de la Torre on June 13th, comes with complexities and prompted a terse back and forth between the league and San Diego State. That included San Diego State subsequently informing the league that the June 13th letter was not the official notice of the resignation, according to sources. So San Diego State had to come back and say, look, to the league, that wasn't our official notice. We're just letting you know we intend to resign. San Diego State would need to give a year notice to withdraw next June. If they wait past June 30th, the exit fee they owe would jump from nearly $16.5 million to nearly $34 million. Now, we've gone over this. Everybody knows this. The money that it takes San Diego State, the money that would take San Diego State to leave the Mountain West Conference to join the Pac-12 more than doubles if it goes past June 30th. Of course, the Pac-12 knows this, right? We're going to get to the Pac-12 part of this equation. We're going to get to it. Again, I've been asking the simple question lately. Where is the Pac-12 media deal? Because I think people are forgetting the core of this story, of this whole saga. Where is the bleeping media deal? Where is it? The Pac-12 has all the motivations in the world, including the San Diego State piece, to deliver the hard numbers now, yesterday, last week to the Pac-12 presidents. Where's the deal? The deal isn't there. Now ask yourself, why isn't the deal there? That's the root of all of this. Where is the Pac-12 media deal? It's costing San Diego State all of this drama, potentially millions of dollars that they do not have, and they've said that publicly. You would think that the Pac-12, if they had decent numbers at all to offer the Pac-12 presidents, the deal would be in front of the Pac-12 presidents now, so they wouldn't cost San Diego State these millions of dollars, all this consternation. You know that the Pac-12 wants to get back into Southern California. So again, where is the media deal? It's just, back to the article. San Diego State has long been linked to the Pac-12, which is amid a protracted process of landing a television contract. Protracted process. Well, yeah, that's one way of saying it. There's been no formal invitation for San Diego State to join the league, and the timeline for that has been linked to either the Pac-12's television deal or departure of a Pac-12 member. San Diego State does not have an offer from the Pac-12, according to a source. Of course they don't. They can't possibly have an offer from the Pac-12 because the Pac-12 doesn't even have a media deal. None of those 10 schools are going to be offering San Diego State anything until they at least see some hard numbers in front of them, which they haven't seen in 11 plus months. So all these stories, all this reporting, Pac-12, yes, Apple, whatever, they have a deal. The Pac-12 presidents have been presented a deal. All of that has been false. Back to the article. San Diego State is attempting to explore all options if it does get to June 30th. And the Pac-12 doesn't have a television deal done, according to a source. You know, San Diego State is hoping, praying that Colorado applies for membership of the Big 12. Big 12 grants it, and that would get San Diego State in the door before June 30th. Because a television deal, a one that the Pac-12 schools can act on and actually offer an invitation to San Diego State, that's not happening. That's not happening. At least from the perception of where San Diego State is standing, because why would they send a letter saying they intend to resign, please give us a month delay, and let's work out the exit fee? My goodness, ladies and gentlemen, it's all rates laying right in front of you. Again, where is the media deal? Where is it? There's no way you'd be delaying past this point. If you had anything, if you had decent numbers, they don't have it. They don't have it. San Diego State, back to the article, is exploring all of their options and asking all the questions, the source said. The intention of the June 13th letter wasn't that San Diego State is exiting. Did the Mountain West Conference just have a meeting? I swear they just had a meeting last week or the week before. Didn't they have a conference meeting? Couldn't there have been some conversations had during that time? Couldn't San Diego State say, hey, is there a possibility we can work on this or that, instead of sending a letter saying you intend to resign? That, of course, the Mountain West Conference would take as a withdrawal letter. That would immediately San Diego State would be getting less media money and conference payouts per the Mountain West Conference bylaws, because it's a letter of withdrawal. That's how the Mountain West Conference took it, and I don't blame them. Back to the article. Along with the 1-month extension in the first letter San Diego State wrote to the Mountain West, they also asked the league to be open to discuss the exit fee. San Diego State mentioned the income they generated for the Mountain West through the NCAA basketball tournament, estimated this March to be at least $10 million from NCAA units, which they won't see any of if they leave the league. Again, I'm not sure what kind of leverage San Diego State has. What are they doing? There's got to be people in the chat room. There has to be someone who will call me, hopefully, and set me straight. What Pac-12 doesn't have a media deal. Doesn't look like they're going to have a media deal for the next couple weeks. What leverage does San Diego State have with the Mountain West Conference? I don't get it. From our perspective here at Peek Around the Corner, and believe me, I made the phone calls after this news broke for Pete Thamel. I can't find an angle to this June 13th letter that San Diego State sent to the Mountain West. Can't find an angle that this benefits San Diego State in any way. Now, the PATC community is incredibly smart, way smarter than the host, so I'm fascinated to hear what you guys have to say. Back to the article. We're getting through this. I apologize for this long monologue already. I'm trying to be kind here. San Diego State also asked that a 4-year installment plan be considered for paying the exit fee. As for now, they have to pay that money by June 2024, which would include the league withholding payment of the Mountain West distribution of money to the school. And I'm going to get back. Look, all this stuff here, asking for a 4-year installment plan and all this, asking this to the Mountain West, without a doubt, these are the conversations. These are the conversations that San Diego State has been having with the Pac-12, saying, look, this is what we're up against. San Diego State, Pac-12's #1 expansion target. And yet, there's just no media deal. The Mountain West responded to San Diego State and informed them in a June 14th letter that they accepted the letter of withdrawal, and the consequences of withdrawing had begun. Those include Della Torres' seat on the Mountain West Conference Board of Directors being polled, and that the league's policies on financial obligation tied to withdrawal are going to be withheld. So the Mountain West Conference already took it as a letter of withdrawal. I mean, my goodness, what if this holds? What if the Mountain West says legally we've got the withdrawal notice here, and then San Diego State doesn't get that invite to the Pac-12 because it implodes or whatever? Now what? I don't quite understand what San Diego State's doing here. Back to the article. That prompted another exchange from San Diego State to clarify that the June 13th letter was not an official resignation, just a request for a month extension. They also asked that no payments should be withheld, which is the league's practice to apply to the exit fee. That's how you help pay for the exit fee. You withhold some payments. Mountain West schools are expecting a check for nearly $6 million in the upcoming weeks. Quote, they're trying to find out what we're willing to do, said a Mountain West source briefed on the exchange. They want to see if the Mountain West Conference is going to handle this nicely. Well, that's not going to happen. Everyone wants to find the best financial path for themselves. And it's clunky. And finally in the article, the Mountain West Conference held a call with the athletic directors on Thursday afternoon. That was yesterday. That detailed the back and forth with the league and San Diego State. So all the Mountain West Conference athletic directors, they're being communicated with from the conference. The news to these athletic directors, the news to the Mountain West Conference did not come as a surprise, as San Diego State's athletic director J.D. Wicker has openly spoken about switching leagues. That included Wicker telling ESPN in March that San Diego State would be ready to step in to a power conference, telling CBS in January that the Pac-12 would want to give San Diego State a full share of the media revenue to prevent them from going to the Big 12 and have that league recruiting their backyard. Okay, and then this is what Dellinger said, Ross Dellinger. San Diego State then sent back a third letter in the exchange, clarifying that the original letter was not an official withdrawal, that it would like the league to not withhold this year's distribution, and answers 3 questions before June 30th. Ross Dellinger ends his tweet, "What a time." Holy smokes. There's been other articles out there from The Athletic. Not going to go through anymore. Just there's been some reporting that Big 12 and San Diego State is not a priority for the Big 12, obviously. It's the 4 corner schools and then UConn. UConn has to wait to see how the dominoes fall. But San Diego State, Big 12, they have discussed, they have talked. We got steam that they have talked more recently. That's why we brought San Diego State all the way from across the street of the Holy Smokes Theater, where they had the binoculars, where they're sitting in the bedroom, looking through the window at the theater. They went across the street in the front foyer. In our last live show, they got to the 38th row. And that's where they are today, even with all this reporting. They're in back of a bunch of schools. But man, this Pac-12 situation, San Diego State is praying that Colorado pulls the trigger, that they're all lined up. They got everything done internally. They just have to make that decision, ask for an application. They have not asked for an application yet. We do not have any confirmation. We do not believe that the June 19th Colorado board meeting has to do with realignment. But we know that the Colorado Board of Regents have discussed realignment. The June 6th meeting was about realignment. We did get that confirmed. So that's where the stage is set at Act 12. Act 12 continues on. But I got to tell you, San Diego State, the perfect storm. Episode 4 of this channel, we talked about San Diego State's perfect storm. Everything was happening that needed to happen for San Diego State to jump over the wall and get to a Power 5 conference. But right away, they hedged too much on the Pac-12. Lately, they've been putting some chips in the Big 12 part of the roulette table. But it might be a little too late. And now San Diego State's got to hope that Colorado breaks it open. Because I tell you, the Mountain West Conference really has no incentive, no motivation to play nice with San Diego State. None. San Diego State's got no leverage. Unless I'm missing something. So let's get to your comments. Let's get to your phone calls. Unfortunately, in episode 242 of College Football's Peek Around the Corner, it was titled, Iowa is going to win the Big Ten West in 2023. That killed me. If you disagree with me, if you're a Gopher fan that wants to chew me out, if you're a Buckeye fan who says that's crazy, that Iowa's going to get crushed in the championship game anyways. They have a great defense coming back. They have a great special teams coming back. But they also have Brian Ferentz coming back, their offensive coordinator. So let's get to your comments. I know that I've missed some. Let me get to the... let me hurry up and get to some of these super chats. I appreciate them. Tony, tough Tony, Gopher. Iowa wins the West. Time to besmirch Greg, but never the little general. Gopher Tony, he's upset with me. Pretty much everybody's upset with me. With my Iowa, except for the Iowa Hawkeye fans. I just think it's... I don't think it's Wisconsin's time. And I don't see anybody else. Illinois, probably going to have another good year. But I think it's going to be the Iowa Hawkeyes. Heroes 75, sorry. But I don't think the Pac-12 will last until the end of July with losing between 2 to 8 teams. Likely 4. My personal belief is the movement will start if no deal is reached by July 1st. Thank you, Hero, for your super chat. Tony, tough Tony, thanks for your super chat. I appreciate you guys donating to this independent college football channel. I think a lot of people agree with you, Hero 75. I think a lot of people agree with you. Let me ask the question. Then we'll get more to your comments here. But San Diego State sent in a letter on June 13th asking about a month delay to the Mountain West Conference in being able to officially withdraw before they have to pay more money and an exit fee and a penalty. Don't you think that San Diego State called George Kliavkoff, the president, the athletic director, and said, hey, do you think there's going to be a media deal done before June 30th, before we kick off this letter to the Mountain West Conference? They've had to have some communication with George Kliavkoff. I know none of us have heard from George Kliavkoff for months, but San Diego State have to be communicating to them. I think this is a very strong indication that nobody should expect a Pac-12 media deal to be presented in front of the Pac-12 presidents in the next couple of weeks. And if it is going to be done, then why San Diego State? Why did San Diego State go on a limb here? Just a very odd story. San Diego State just tried to rush the stage. Don't know about that. But I understand what everyone's... Immaculate, Iowa's going to be the last ever Western Division champion. I'm glad you recognize that. Okay, there's a few people that are okay with me saying that Iowa is going to win the West. David Hackett, San Diego State in the 38th row. Yes, they are. They were there in the last live show. Greg Welch, seems like if you're going to join the elite academic alliance that is the Pac-12, you'd have better attorneys. You know, is the Mountain West Conference, are they still taking that as a letter of withdrawal? Is this going to go to the courts? Let me know what you think. And what a risk. I mean, I don't understand it. I see that Monavision tried to explain to me in a comment here. I can't find this comment. Something about legal reasons, legal this, legal that. I don't know. Jason says we need a reality show of the attorney dealings in these realignments. I guess there's a good reason why San Diego State did this. I'm not smart enough to know what that is. I know Monavision tried to explain it to me. MG Sooner says thinking San Diego State had some kind of non-binding understanding that a deal and a Gore resolution would be in place. Then all that changed? I don't know. You remember was it like a month ago, 6 weeks ago, there was reports out of Utah media that the Pac-12 had the linear part done, but now they're working on the streaming part. You remember those reports? And here at Peek Around the Corner, we threw up our hands and said, what we've been told from our sources, there's nothing. There's nothing there. Last live show, we said there's nothing there. That's what we keep getting told. Look, if we were told something different, I would tell you all something different. If we were told that the Pac-12 was inches away from a media deal and these were at least one part of the media deal, we would let you guys know. Lickety split. We go where the story goes. I've been hearing Greg Pflugar as Mr. Big 12. Why is he Big 12 when he's a Gopher? He's more closely aligned to the Pac-12. I'm not Mr. Big 12. We're not Mr. Big 10. We're not Mr. SEC. We're not Mr. anything here at Peek Around the Corner. We just go where the story goes. And the story's been going down these train tracks for months, and it hasn't changed direction. It just hasn't. It would be kind of cool if it did. It'd be kind of neat if we got the Pac-12 media deal. We would open up the hood, look at it, fascinating, see all 10 schools sign, and see how it happens in the next 3 years. We had Peek Around the Corner and not pro Big 12. I'm a Gopher fan, and I got Gophers going 6-6. I do have my biases, but we go where the story goes. I hope you all know that, right? We go where the story goes. We know that Colorado has been in deep talks with the Big 12 all during the month of May. May 7th, May 24th, May 31st. They had big time internal meetings. So we will go where the story goes, and here we get a curveball. San Diego State actually sent a letter to the Mountain West Conference with signaling their intentions to resign from the conference. The Mountain West Conference takes that as a letter of withdrawal according to the Mountain West Conference bylaws. You can't make this stuff up. And of course, we have to cover it. It is a dumpster fire. I mean, it's Oakley, Burklau, Thamo, Marchand, Ron don't know where the deal is either. Have a hard time seeing none of them having sources to figure out the deal. Maybe I get... Yeah. And they've been saying this for months. Laura Weiss, did Colorado post their board meeting notice on the 13th? I don't know. And again, we never got to confirm that June 19th meeting has anything to do with realignment. It looks like it doesn't. I don't know, guys. And gals. I'm AAR, what's the money perch guy saying? The Arizona State money perch. He tells us the same thing he's been saying for months. All started back in January 31st. There is no deal. There's no real numbers in front of these Pac-12 presidents. George Kliavkoff has not been able to get a deal presented to them that can come close to getting all 10 presidents to sign. That's where we are. San Diego State must have gotten some information from George Kliavkoff. That's how we're reading it. Else, why would they send this letter on June 13th with intent to ask for a 1-month delay? Okay, let's get to your phone calls. We're going to get to your phone calls because somebody has to explain this to me. Why did San Diego State send this letter? 763-260-1333. 763-260-1333. That is the phone number. The floor is yours. Give us a call. John Wilner reports there's a pending media deal. I don't think he really said that.
Call from
Ryan Thomas.
Ryan Thomas, the floor is yours. Explain what is going on to me.
Well, I think San Diego State is proving that they are a perfect fit for the Pac-12. This level of bungling expansion and just this kind of incompetence is just something that fits right into is on brand for the Pac-12. I'll just say that. That letter reminds me of a crude analogy, Greg. It's like me going to my wife and saying, "Hey, sweetheart, I want an open marriage before the divorce just in case it doesn't work out with the mistress." That's what that letter sounded like. It was completely embarrassing and it looked terrible. But I do want to point out one thing.
I want to interrupt you. I'm sorry. Ryan?
Go ahead.
I apologize. When we get back to you, the floor will be yours. We got breaking news. Meeting, June 19th. Special board meeting. Now, what is that saying? I'm so blind. 9:45 a.m. Resolved that the Board of Regents go in executive session as permitted by Section 24-6-402, Colorado Revised Statutes. The board will discuss the following matter as announced and pursuant to the subsection as listed below. Legal advice on a specific matter, athletics matter at Colorado Boulder. So it doesn't look like it's about the treasure search an announcement of the treasurer search. If it's about realignment, if it is, and we do not have it confirmed, that is the verbiage that we would see. Okay?
Yep.
So it's not about the treasurer or anything else. And I want to point out one more thing. And I apologize, Ryan.
No, go ahead, Greg.
June 19th is a state and national holiday.
Yep. Yep.
If you look inside Colorado's, I don't know how to say it, school.
Campus is closed.
It's a floating.
No classes.
It's a floating. They call it a floating holiday this year. You can take a personal day off. They're going to relook at it at next year. So for them to meet on June 19th, we're going to try to get more information. This is just breaking news. Go ahead, Ryan.
Oh, yeah.
The floor is yours.
Oh yeah, and Greg, I just want to point something out. Schultz said that the deal would be done in the next 2 or 3 weeks. Basically, he said that exactly a week ago, which would imply the end of June. Now, if they were that close to a deal, why would San Diego State need to ask for an extension of a month?
I don't know.
They wouldn't. They wouldn't. And the whole thing is if they were close on a deal, first of all, in any TV deal, the first thing that they would probably get settled from the very start would be expansion. I mean, that would be the first thing they would come to an agreement with the media partner on is expansion. How much is everybody worth and, what are they worth and what are the models worth? That's what they would agree to. San Diego State.
Okay, hold on 1 second. There's somebody in the chat. I'm sorry, Ryan. Someone says,
go ahead.
Oakley Burklow says track and field, though. I'm reading here 9:30 a.m. Monday, June 19th, election of a treasurer. So it is election of a treasurer. That's at 9:30. Then at 9:45, it's executive session.
Mm-hmm.
And then it says one executive session. Then C, 10 a.m. is an adjournment. So
yeah,
I'm reading this as it's about a treasury election, 9:30, but then at 9:45, they go in executive session for 15 minutes. A legal advice on a specific matter. I'm not seeing the track and field. So Oakley, let me know what I'm misreading here. I'm looking at the agenda. I don't see anything about a track and field. It could be about track and field. I'm just not seeing it. But go ahead, Ryan.
Yeah, and keep in mind that there is another meeting in Boulder, in person, in public, on the 22nd, all day long for their annual meeting.
Yeah.
And I am sure they could squeeze 15 minutes in there for a public vote if they needed to, if they decided to move. So I mean, I with all these meetings, I just don't make. Right now, what will happen. But as I said, if they were anywhere close near a deal, and San Diego State knew they were in, they wouldn't be asking for an extension and saying things unforeseen, blah, 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 blah. I mean, that tells me that there's no deal in sight. There isn't. And, I understand that, they want to stay together, the academics, the culture. I understand that. That's completely understandable. But the thing is ultimately those regions care about having to make sure budgets are met. And if there's no money coming down the pipe, if nothing is going to be there, you remember what I said clear back in February, people make a change when the fear of the known is greater than the fear of the unknown. And knowing that you don't have a TV deal, that you don't have money, won't have money coming into the coffers in the next fiscal year in the athletic department is terrifying. And I think that, it's a matter of time, but someone's going to panic. And I just think it's just completely ridiculous that they're just dragging this on and on and on, but I just don't see where a deal comes from. And I want to point out one thing before I hang up, Greg.
Yeah.
Even if they won 100% all Apple, the production cost for the Pac-12 network, for every dollar of revenue the Pac-12 network had, it had 80%, 80 cents of production cost. So when you look at that, you know, to get close to the Big 12 number, the Apple would have to offer something to go close to the Big 12 number and have that small package of ESPN games. Apple would have to be forking out somewhere between $400 million to $500 million a year to the Pac-12. No network, you know, that's what the network would even do for the conference when they had USC and UCLA. I mean, it's kind of nuts. And someone has to produce the games because Apple doesn't have the ability to do it. So I just think that they're just in a very, very tough spot, and I think it's a matter of time before you know, people panic. And I think Colorado certainly knows that. And I think the boosters to all these schools are putting their pressure on the regents. And you know, Michael Crow can be stubborn, but if he keeps up, you know, I can guarantee you that the regents at Arizona will offer him a pink slip or an early retirement package. But this is just ridiculous. Like, I can't believe it, but it's, you know, I'm a Big 12 homer. I admit that. I would love to get the Four Corner School, but I just feel bad at this level of stupidity and incompetence. And that's all I have for today, Greg. Great show.
Thank
you. To work. Take care, everyone.
Appreciate it. Great call. Ryan Martin, thanks for the super chat. 9:30 is the Treasury election. 9:45 is related to Colorado Boulder track and field. A lot of people have told me that. I've gotten some pictures. I still can't see anything Boulder track and field, but I'm going to take everyone's word for it. I even got a picture here. Agenda items, detail. I don't see anything about Boulder track and field, but obviously it is because a lot of people have said it is.
Call from
Mona Vision.
Mona Vision, thanks for calling. Set me straight. What's going on? Why did they send this letter? I saw your comment. I can't find it anymore. Let me know what's going on.
It appears to me it's for legal reasons, Greg. They don't want to pay the extra penalty. They realize they're not getting out of the Pac-12 is not going to have a spot for them before their deadline. So this is all legal maneuvering on their part for the eventual lawsuit because they're not going to pay that extra money that they.
But don't they risk? Don't they risk?
It's a risk, but the Mountain West also doesn't want to. A protracted legal battle that's going to cost them money trying to collect money from San Diego State. But yeah, I just reading through it and the back and forth, this is all like their lawyers are setting up to say, hey, if we have to go to court, this is our correspondence. That's not what I mean, the letter where they resigned and didn't resign, that is such a lawyer's dodge. To put something like that into it just so they can go before the court and say, well, we never committed to resign, but we committed to resign. You know, it's just, the whole San Diego State thing, that is just lawsuit after lawsuit after lawsuit is going to happen. The Mountain West is going to sue San Diego State. San Diego State's going to sue the Mountain West. Fox could potentially sue San Diego State on behalf of the Mountain West because of the lack of programming they're going to have now because Fox has the rights to Mountain West content. The Mountain West could also end up suing the Pac-12, and the Pac-12, you know, it's going to be a mess. It's a mess, but it's basically San Diego State saying we know we have somewhere to go. We just don't think we can get there before June 30th. So let's put up all these things so when that we don't get there by June 30th, we can fight them in court and maybe not pay as much as they want us to.
Okay. I can see that. I just don't know where their leverage is, though. Where's San Diego
There is no leverage. There's no leverage there whatsoever, Greg.
Yeah.
The only leverage would be getting in front of a judge and putting forth the arguments. And if the judge says, hey, San Diego State has merit, there's the leverage for them to work out a deal that's going to be, they'll work out a deal. San Diego State will not have to pay the full amount. The Mountain West and them will settle on a reasonable amount. But in order for them to do that, San Diego State has to put up these barriers, these letters that they can show in legal filings that we never resigned. They said we resigned. Back and forth and back and forth.
Okay.
So there's no leverage right now, obviously. But, the Mountain West doesn't want to spend tens of millions on a lawsuit against San Diego State. San Diego State doesn't want to spend tens of millions lawsuits against the Mountain West. So they'll just come to some kind of agreement eventually. But I see all this. San Diego State knows they have a spot somewhere. I'm assuming it's the Pac. I don't think the Big 12 wants them. I think the Big 12 will be satisfied just adding in Colorado and in Arizona, going to 14 and waiting to see what the landscape brings. So I think San Diego State has a very clear idea. I mean, they wouldn't do this otherwise. No rational person would do this otherwise.
Yeah, so you agree with me that it would seem apparent that San Diego State received some communication from George Kliakoff or somebody on his team, negotiation team, and San Diego State got the word, look, it ain't going to happen this month, right? The Pac-12 media deal's not going to get done this month.
Right. They gave him a date range, and I'm sure that date range extended to July 30th, and that's why they're asking for that extra 30 days. But I don't think that just George Kliakoff telling them that would move the needle. I think they've got other contacts within the Pac that are saying, yes, the media deal is near. Yes, you're going to be invited. The question is, are they going to be invited as member number 11, or are they going to be invited as member number 9 to fill for Colorado and Arizona? I think that's the only question that's important. And, I don't know when Colorado plans on making their decision. I don't think it's going to be at this upcoming meeting. I think the agenda pretty much lays that out. They've got a regular meeting scheduled, I think, a week from that.
Yeah.
That's just a public meeting, 8:30 to 5. That would seem like a more likely place for them to make that decision and make that call.
And if you don't mind, Motivation, I want to say something about these meetings here. These meetings are just, if it comes down to it, if the Colorado Board of Regents has a meeting having to do with realignment, it's just going to be highly procedural. But look, at Peek Around the Corner, we're still going to talk about it. I know I offended some people on the internet because we talk about the 19th meeting, the 6th meeting, the 9th meeting being canceled. Because at Peek Around the Corner, we have this thing called curiosity, right? We're curious about what's going on around us. We investigate. We figure things out. We just don't label people liars. We don't shut down conversations. We don't shut down debate. We are a very diverse group. We're going to look at all sorts, whatever meeting comes up at Arizona, San Diego State, whatever Board of Regents, we don't know what it is. We didn't say it was confirmed, but we're going to talk about it here at Peek Around the Corner. That's what we do here at Peek Around the Corner. So I just want to put that out there. So if anybody is highly offended that we talk about meetings that we don't know what they're about yet because the agenda hasn't been posted yet, I would advise you watch a different college football YouTube channel. There's lots of them out there. But we cover everything in college football. We also cover Board of Regents meetings, even when we don't know exactly what they're going to be about at the time we discuss them. I just want to put that out there. Go ahead, Motivation. Thanks for letting me put that.
You do a very good point of putting out there, this is 100% fact, this is speculation.
Yeah.
It's not like you put out there that, this meeting coming up, it's 100% fact, it's about realignment.
No.
It's speculation. We can all speculate. Yeah. That's not against the law.
Now, Peek Around the Corner will say, though, that the June 6th meeting was about realignment. But June 9th, we never got confirmation. Never got confirmation when it was canceled. June 19th, we just say that it's posted. We talk about it. We look at the agenda when we go on from there. That's what we do here. at Peek Around the Corner. So we do a lot of things here.
Yes.
So go ahead.
Well, I'll just wrap it up for me. I just wanted to put that out there about San Diego State. And I will tell you, Greg, those people on the internet that just hate you because they ain't you.
Okay.
No future big expansion without Notre Dame.
Got it. All right. All right. Thank you. Great call by Mr. Buckeye Monovision. So we've gotten some answers. One is that the Colorado 19th meeting is not about realignment. It's about some other important things that are going on at the University of Colorado, but it's not about realignment. Number two, we've Monovision laid out the reasons why San Diego State would put out this letter to the Mountain West Conference. I still don't believe they played their cards correctly at all during this whole process. They should have never publicly spoken this much about it. They should have never put most of their eggs in the Pac-12 baskets, even though that's probably where they're going to go. That's definitely where they want to go. That's probably the opportunity, the best opportunity for them to jump over the wall to get to a Power 5 conference. All that is true, but they should not have spoken so much about it from Wicker to the president, and they should have put more of their chips on the table at the roulette wheel to the Big 12. Of course, Big 12 doesn't have the interest in San Diego State like the Pac-12 does. We all can acknowledge that, and we know the reasons why. Pac-12 really, truly needs to get back into Southern California after losing UCLA and USC. We all understand the reasons why. So San Diego State still in the catbird seat as far as getting in line for an invitation, but it's getting dicey.
Call from
Death by Zuby.
Got it. It's just Western Civic.
Of course.
The floor is yours, good sir. What do you think about this San Diego State sending a letter, intention of resigning from the Mountain West Conference?
Well, who knows? I think, you're probably right. But I want to ask you a question. That's the main point of this is I wanted to ask you a couple things before this, but, who would you take? Would you take San Diego State and SMU, or would you take USF and Tulane? But before we get to that, oh man, the Zubies, dude, they're just killing me, bro. I'm sorry. But I mean, just because you all set yourself on fire and went to the Lubbock doesn't mean anybody wants to go with you. And Colorado, if they did that, after putting up the worst record in Pac history, will be a laughingstock west of the Rockies forever.
Let me ask you a question. You asked me a question.
Well, hold on one thing, though, before we get to that, Greg, and it's just this, because someone's been in the Ute world, in the Utah world, some Big 12 infiltration has been going on, and I just want to say, look, we can play the Zubies every year without adding Ames, Lubbock, and Waco to the schedule, okay? We can play them as a non-conference game. We can do like USC does with Notre Dame and play them, late in the year, every other year or something. Look, please, people, please. Okay, let's go back. Yeah, what do you think? Wouldn't that be a power move if the Big Ten can go diagonal all the way across the country? Why can't the Pac?
Well, first of all, the Big Ten can offer way more in terms of travel money. But let me answer your question.
Sure.
If I was the Pac-12, I would take San Diego State and SMU ahead of Tulane and USF. The Pac-12 has to get back into Southern California. If those are your two options you're giving me, I would take San Diego State and SMU. But let me ask you a question, Western Civic.
Yeah, but I want to know why.
Wait a second. I want to ask this question because I've been asking this question. Asking it, and I get no answers. From those who believe there's no chance that Colorado goes to Big 12, that it would be going down a level in academics, that there's no chance Colorado will be a laughingstock, right? Let me ask you a question. Where is the bleeping Pac-12 media deal? Where is it? Where is it? Where is it?
I don't know. I mean, look,
okay, well there it is then, right?
Look,
If their choice is to have their front porch of the university get buried by a horrific Pac-12 media deal whenever it comes, versus going to the Big 12, knowing they're going to get $31.7 million, knowing they're going to get into the room that decides the future of college football from 2026 and beyond. They get decent exposure. They get decent recruiting grounds. Look, those are your options right now. Where is this?
Colorado does $1 billion of research or something.
But that money doesn't
year.
go. That money doesn't go to the athletic department. And are you saying
it goes everywhere else?
It doesn't go to the athletic department. And are you saying that Colorado suddenly loses $1 billion in research because they change conferences? Just automatically, Colorado can't determine their own future.
No, but it doesn't help.
Okay, and if Colorado, I'll give you, if Colorado leaves, like Pete Thamel says, it's highly likely that other AAU, large research, Pac-12 schools will follow. So again, I ask you, if you're that close to losing Colorado, potentially the Arizona schools in Utah, as Pete Thamel says, where is this Pac-12 media deal? Where is it?
Well, let me answer. The media deal isn't coming because the media companies don't want a West Coast regional conference.
Okay, you've answered it. So therefore, it is possible Colorado has to leave. They have to leave. That is possible.
Dude,
you just said
there is a monster push going on, as you may have noticed, to try and get Colorado into the Big Lubbock Conference. There's no doubt. So yeah, I've always told you there's a 1.5% chance. I mean, but I'll tell you what. I mean, you think ASU got their AAU to go to the Lubbock? I mean, I'll tell you, as a Utah fan, I will be furious if that happens. I mean, I will be. No, seriously. I mean, I don't know how many other Utah. I know there are a lot of fans that feel the same way I do, but I mean, I would be just absolutely incensed. Like, I would probably not. Like, I don't know what I would. I guess I would focus on the Ducks more. Because I just don't. I have no interest in. There's nothing there for us. It's not what Utah's about. So I just doesn't make sense, and I don't think their research could afford it either because Utah's not as flush as. I mean, they're doing pretty well. They're approaching $1 billion, but they don't have as much as. I don't think Utah could afford to do that unless California went with them, and that seems really unlikely. So anyway. I don't know. Well, maybe they take both, Greg, if they can get any kind of deal. Obviously, it's very difficult. There's no doubt this is tough. Yeah. The mainstream players don't want the Pac to get a deal. They've got ESPN set their thing up with the Big 12. ESPN's got the little thing all set up. They'd love to see Prime go there, and they're doing it at the expense of what these universities are about, and I really hope they don't cave into it.
Yeah,
and that's really it. So, but you don't think USF compares to San Diego State?
Maybe in a few years. Again, I don't think Pac-12 has any interest in taking a single university that's G5 right now from the East Coast. When the Pac-12 has been yammering about the difficulties of UCLA's travel, they're just not going to do it. So I don't even think that's an option.
Well, you're right. I don't think they take it on. What about this?
Tulane.
What if they went?
If you
what
say
if they went,
Tulane go ahead.
Hold on. All right, UConn, USF for the Eastern Time Zone. And that travel stuff doesn't matter, Greg. That's all a bunch of noise. It is. I mean, you do need someone else out there for them.
Yeah.
But I mean, the idea that USC and UCLA are going to have trouble traveling, I think that's noise. That's nonsense. Yeah. But so yeah, I think you need. What about UConn, USF, Tulane, Rice, and SMU and San Diego State for the GPAC 16 or whatever? If Kansas is going to hold on to their Lubbockian prison contract, is what I'm hearing lately. which is crazy. But so anyway, I don't know. What do you think of that? What about UConn? What about UConn and USF? And then,
probably not. Because can we first see the Pac-12 media deal? I mean, we're talking about expansion. When they
go hand in hand.
No, they don't, because here's the deal. If it is on the borderline, let's say it's for $24 million a year, some decent linear. Oregon and Washington are looking at it going, that's the best you got, George Kleikoff. George Kleikoff says, yes, Oregon, Washington suddenly demands unequal revenue sharing. Not just by performance, but by your main media conference payouts. They want a higher slice of the pie. Suddenly expansion is out the window, probably. So,
how about this? How about you call up your people up in Minnesota and get these big presidents to pull the trigger already? Let's go.
Yeah, Big Ten's not.
Let's get it done.
Big Ten's not pulling the trigger.
I noticed.
The legal counsel. There's other hurdles. They're not going to do it right now. We'll see what happens with Colorado if they pull the trigger to move first. But Big Ten ain't moving first on this.
Yeah, well, look, it does look like the Pac's going to have to cobble together their media deal, and it's tough, man. This is hard. This is difficult stuff.
Yeah.
But I think there's some legitimate expansion candidates. Yeah, they might take a hit on the athletics for a minute, but I think the expansion candidates, if they brought them into the Pac, would improve significantly in a few short years. But
all righty.
Anyway, there you go.
Thanks for the call.
Please, the Zoobies already. Okay,
Got
you set yourself on fire.
No
we
more
don't have
war.
To follow you.
No more war.
Greg, no war.
Carson Pittman, is Colorado waiting for Washington and Oregon to reject the deal? It's almost assured, no matter what the deal is, they are rejecting it. It's just speculate away, but man, I would like to see the deal. I mean, nobody has a clue what this deal is. I know there's theories in Larry Pilgrim talks about an Apple-led TV deal.
Call from
Steve.
Steve, Mr. Bearcat, Cincinnati, he's on the line. The floor is yours, sir.
So Ryan Martin kind of stole my thunder when he said San Diego's going to fit right in with the Pac.
Yeah.
Stuff they decided to do. You there, Greg?
Yes, sir. Yep.
Okay, yeah. My phone's been acting up all day.
Okay.
Anyhow, this wasn't one of your better, brilliant business moves for San Diego State, unless you know the Pac-12 deal, but it still hinges on Colorado not accepting it, Arizona not accepting it, just go up and down the line. Oregon, Washington not accepting it, but you're still going to go to the Mountain West and say, can you extend the deadline so we don't have to pay double our exit fee? What world they live in? I want to know. What is it, Greg?
I don't know. Monavision tried to explain it to me. He did a good job. I don't quite get what San Diego State tried to do here.
I can't fathom them taking this to this point right now. There's the Big 12 has no leverage. Therefore, you want to be part of a conference, seemingly, that doesn't have any leverage. Of course, even if the Pac deal is small in comparison to the other Power Fours, San Diego State's going to make more money, obviously. But I don't get it from a from a negotiating standpoint. Now, with all that being said, here's what entered my mind. Did Kliakoff go and have some conversations with San Diego State and say, you guys may be part of what we want to do, and we don't know what's going on with the Pac-12, so you guys better be making up your mind. You think that happened?
I don't know. I mean,
there's so many moving parts in this.
Yeah.
Right?
The only thing I come back to is San Diego State, before they sent out that June 13th letter, they must have had a couple days to work on it, discuss it, have their lawyers look at it. So, maybe June 11th, June 10th. They must have gotten word from the Pac-12, nothing's coming down the line for this month. Else, why would the Pac-12 put them out on a limb like that?
I don't know. And why would San Diego State put themselves out on a limb like that when they know they have maybe not the best shot, but a decent shot at going to the Big 12, where things are a little more secure?
Well, there has been some reports out there today, and we got the steam a few days ago. That's why we put San Diego State in the 38th row of the Holy Smokes Theater for the first time ever. They're in the auditorium. There is some steam out there that San Diego State has been talking with the Big 12 more often here. But then again, they're going to have to wait to see how the dominoes fall. But there is some steam on that.
Well, I agree with Moen's vision. I mean, this thing could drag out in the courts for years. It really could.
Yeah.
With all the correspondence back and forth, it just reeks of, San Diego State trying to gain some leverage over the Mountain West. Well, good luck with that. I mean, you may get a discounted exit fee like most other schools have. Texas did. Oklahoma did. The American schools, when they came to the Big 12, they got reduced. But I'm baffled. I've told you every time I've called you, Greg, I'm just baffled by this whole thing. I can't understand that. I can't connect the dots. And that's what's crazy about this whole thing. And what's it boil down to? There's no Pac-12 deal.
Yeah.
And there probably won't be that you'll get every team to actually sign. That's all I got, Greg.
I agree.
I'm baffled every time. I'm baffled.
Well,
every time something comes up,
I'm with you. I'm with you, Steve.
Yeah. It just gets crazier as the days go by, and then we had 20 different deadlines, for goodness sake.
Yeah. And Steve, if you can just hold on for a second.
Sure.
Ross Dellinger says, will the Mountain West grant, now Ross Dellinger, Sports Illustrated, does a great job with all this. Will the Mountain West grant San Diego State's request to extend the exit deadline of the June 30th through the month of July? Let's just say that it is not expected to grant such a request, per several officials who spoke with Sports Illustrated.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. I just don't know what San Diego... I get all the logic that's been told to me. I get it. But I think this does nothing for San Diego State, and it only potentially hurts them, the actions that they took on June 13th.
Well, you used the word logical. Maybe from the outside looking in, okay, this was a logical move. But in a business sense, they got to know their situation. And maybe they don't fully realize their situation. Who knows? But they got to understand their situation they're in now. And this was not a logical business move, other than looking down down the line, like Mullen Vision said, that you may see court battles going on and they come out a little better. But how much better are they going to come out when they don't? I mean, when nobody knows what the Pac-12 deal is. How do you base anything on anything?
Yeah.
What do you got to have? You got to have a starting line here. You know, you got to have, and maybe they do. But do they know what Washington and Oregon's going to do? They know what Colorado's going to do. It could be the Pac-8 again. You don't know. But that's just my 2 cents worth, Greg. I've told you my background before, and none of this has made sense to me from the start. None of it.
Yeah.
So enjoy the show.
Thanks,
Have
Steve.
a great evening. Thanks.
Appreciate it, good man. Thank you, sir. Great call. I'm going to read. There isn't really much to it. I'll go ahead and read the Athletic article. It's been out for 4 hours. Stuart Mandel, Chris Vanini, Nicole Auerbach, Max Olson. San Diego State informed the Mountain West in a letter Tuesday it intends to resign from the conference. A source briefed on the matter confirmed to the Athletic in anticipation of joining a Power 5 conference that's widely assumed to be the Pac-12. With a fast approaching June 30th deadline to give notice in time for 2024 departure to school, San Diego State has requested a 1-month extension before giving official notice. After June 30th, its exit fee to leave the 2024 would double from around $17 million to $34 million. Pac-12 negotiations for a new media rights deal have dragged on longer than anticipated and may not be completed by the end of the month. A source briefed on the matter says it's unclear why the Mountain West would agree to extend the smaller exit fee. There's no reason why. A source briefed on the exchange said the intent behind San Diego State's initial letter was not to officially withdraw from the Mountain West, but the Mountain West took it as such. Well, that's the risk. That's the risk of putting out a letter to the Mountain West saying we intend to resign from the conference. The San Diego State letter was sent to all the league's Mountain West University presidents, which quickly escalated the tenor of the exchange. Again, I don't know. I think San Diego State has made some really bad strategic decisions here. Not much else. Larry Pilgrim.
Call from.
Yes, sir. Larry.
Hey, Greg, how are you?
How you doing, sir? Thanks for your super chat. Does anyone know the difference between an offer and a deal? Thanks, Larry, for your super chat. I appreciate it. The floor is yours, good sir.
Thank you. So yeah, I get to, I get a little bit frustrated when people are constantly saying they have no deal, and it's like these are negotiations. There's offers, and then there's discussions, and then there's a deal. So all we have is we heard, okay, if we go way back, and this is where Brett Yormark was smart. And I've been trying to push this for the last, few days. There's only so many spots on Fox, ESPN, ESPN2, ABC, CBS. Okay, so the Big Ten owns everything but one Fox, 3:30 game. Fox isn't going to put on another Big Ten game to compete with its buddies. So
CBS,
So the Big 12 is going to get that. They're going to get that one prime spot, okay? And they're also signed on with ESPN. Have you looked at the 2024 schedule for the SEC?
Yeah. Yeah.
There are 30. If you look, okay, and this isn't even if you air Georgia, Kentucky. There are minimum 30 games on that schedule that are not getting booted for any Big 12, ACC, Pac-12 matchup. It's not happening. And so ESPN has three spots, and one on ABC. You have 7 games per week that you can showcase. And ESPN and ESPN2, well, at least ESPN and ABC are going to be airing SEC. They're not paying all this money and moving those teams to show Big 12. So when we sit here and talk about exposure, you need to look to 2024 and tell me where you think you're going to get exposure competing for those few spots on ESPN2 with the ACC and the Big 12. So Brett Yormark was very smart in what he did. He knew that the shelf availability was minimum. So when we're talking about Pac-12 getting exposure, exposure's gone. They're not getting exposure. I don't care. The only exposure they would get would be the late night window. So if people aren't able to look at what's going to happen in 2024 with TV schedules and get on the Big 12, you're going to get exposure. Okay, now you've got 26 teams competing, and I'm sorry, FS1 and ESPNU are not exposure channels. Nobody from the Big 10 or SEC or AC are going over to those channels to watch Pac-12, ACC, or Big 12. So this exposure trap,
I don't know about that. FS1, of course, it's not anywhere close to Fox numbers, but everything's relative, Larry. I mean, FS1 versus
Greg,
what?
From me to you.
Yeah.
Ohio State versus Wisconsin's on.
Yeah.
On whatever. Okay? At the same time, you've got TCU versus Iowa State.
Okay.
What game are you watching?
I get that. But again, everything's relative.
Right.
Everything's relative. And of course, I'm going to get yelled at when I say this, but it's hard. It's hard. Whew. I mean, if you're talking, yes, Big 12 games are not going to get anywhere the exposure that the Big 10 and the SEC are getting. They're not even going to get the exposure that the ACC schools are going to get, more or less. There's going to be a lot of Big 12 content at ESPN Plus.
I think they can get some ESPN2 slots.
Yep.
Here and there.
Yep. But again, it's all right. What is the Pac-12 getting? Because there's
right now.
Yeah.
Let's go back. I called you 3 weeks ago. I have one source. I don't have sources.
I get
this
it.
person only works for one university. He doesn't know what Colorado or Arizona is doing. He only knows what he knows.
Yeah.
And actually, what I called in and told you, everything's kind of falling in line. It all relied on Oregon and the Big 10. Oregon has been the crux of the matter.
Okay.
And now that we know the Big 10, isn't it funny how all of a sudden Washington State, he's opening his mouth. He doesn't know how to do it, but
yeah.
And now, and then Colorado backs off their whatever meeting, but nobody knows what that is.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, things are kind of moving in a direction. San Diego State would not have sent that letter to the Mountain West without knowing they had somewhere to go. That's just why they were putting out an olive branch to see if they would work with them. I don't know. But I've told you Apple is going to be the main provider. And Apple does not move at the Pac-12 speed. Apple doesn't care as much. They can give you a verbal, and isn't it funny how a week ago, all of this verbal stuff came out. Hey, there's verbal agreements. And
verbal agreement. You talking about the grant of rights verbal agreement?
Well, okay.
There is no verbal agreement.
Okay,
verbal agreements.
When we talk about grant of rights, you have a media grant of rights and you have a conference grant of rights. They're two separate. You have to first work out. There's so many things to work out. Well, what's the exposure? We can't go through that till we have those providers.
Yeah.
Okay, what's the money? They agreed on the money. So no, a complete grant of rights hasn't moved forward. They've worked out parts of the contract. They've worked out pages 1 through 5. They still got to go 5 through 20. So no, a complete deal is not done. In negotiations, this is how it works. So,
let's say Utah, I don't know who they're playing in week 7. Let's just say they're playing, Utah's playing Oregon State. Okay. Utah's 7-0. Oregon State is having a really good year once again. We're talking 2 years from now, right? They're 7-0. Big game. It's going to be considered in week 7 now. It's going to be considered a tier 1 game. Where's that game being played at? In an Apple-driven, if Apple is the primary media partner of the Pac-12 in this new media package. Where's that game being played at? Apple?
I guess they could. Well, here's the situation. What time's the game being played, Greg? 7 Eastern?
I was going to say, yeah, sure, 7 Eastern. I was going to say a little bit earlier, but go ahead.
Nobody from the SEC or the Big Ten is coming over to watch that game, even with those two teams 7-0. Because I am sorry, people watch their team first, their conference second, best game third. I don't, unless you're a casual, but the casuals watch ESPN. They watch those games that are just, they're in your face. They're on those common channels.
Okay. Here's the problem with that.
That's my opinion.
Okay, and I'm only giving my opinion. Here's the thing though. When we talk about exposure, FS1 versus Apple, whatever. The problem is that Big 12 country watches Big 12 football. There's going to be more West Virginia, Baylor fans, Oklahoma State fans that are going to watch the TCU game versus somebody else than other people in the Pac-12 watching a Pac-12 game that's not their team. That's why the Pac-12 eyeballs are less on their content than the Big 12. It's not just because they're in the Pacific Coast and everyone's going to sleep at night. The Pac-12 country doesn't have the same eyeballs watching their content as the Big 12. That's another problem with this, right?
Yeah.
So, if I don't want to beat a dead horse, but we're getting back to this where I think networks, and I don't think, I know you've heard this Apple TV steam. We haven't heard it at Peek Around the Corner. We'll see what happens. But I just think these networks are saying no to a one-region conference unless it's the SEC because of this reason. They want, and you're talking about, there's not many spots left, right? The good spots for exposure. You talked about the fourth window. This is why Brett Yormark, this is why he's going so hard at the Western expansion, because he thinks this is only one of his few opportunities here in the next 5-6 years to elevate his value to his current media partners for the next deal is to grab that fourth window, hopefully elevate Big 12's value just a little bit more. So that's why they're going so hard at, the Four Corners schools.
Right. There's shelf space like we're talking.
Yeah, shelf space. Perfect.
If you can get that, you'll now have 8 spots for ESPN to show Power 5. Right now, with the Pac not having that late night window signed up with the ESPN, you've literally got 7. There's one more spot, and if ESPN doesn't sign with the Pac-12, then I guess they'll just throw the Mountain West on there or whatever for lower money. So I agree with Brett Yormark and what he's doing.
Yeah.
I'm not saying I disagree with Brett Yormark and him doing what he's doing. He was smart to jump in line because he knew there was 6 aisles, and he had to get the last aisle that could put product on the shelf. And that's where I think the Pac-12 really screwed up, was not looking at 2024 and why the networks moved those 4 teams and what it was going to do to the other 3 conferences. And so it was very good down the road, insight by him and his crew.
Yeah.
And so coming down the road, when we're talking about exposure, it's going to be very thin. So what do you take? Are you going to take what's worth more? 2, maybe 3 games, maybe at best. For the Mountain West time and Pacific time, for those 4 schools, they're going to get more exposure, correct? I won't disagree with that. If the 4 corners go over to the Big 12, they're going to get exposure on that late window, because now you can throw BYU in there, and I'm sure a lot of the Texas teams and the Central Time Zone, they can kick off at that time. So yes, you're improving your value.
Yeah, he's attempting to, so yeah.
But so just real quick on the San Diego State, to me they had a place to jump. There's a verbal. There's offers on the table. There's no deal. There's offers. There's numbers, and they've been promised a spot somewhere. I'm not saying it's the Pac-12. I would say it's the Pac-12.
Yeah.
So was it dumb? I think they shouldn't have done that. They should have just waited until the 30th and when the shitter get off the pot.
Yeah.
So yeah, I agree. They shouldn't have done that until the 30th. But
it's odd.
That's just my take.
Got it. Thanks, Larry.
Hey, bud. You bet.
Once again, great phone call by Larry Pilgrim, Mr. Utah Man. Thank you, sir. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Great call from Larry. I love Larry's calls. They're very challenging. He looks at things from a different perspective, gets me out of my information loop.
Call from
Wild Ute.
Oh, Wild Ute, another Utah man. Look out. The floor is yours, the legend. Wild Ute, what's going on, good sir?
Hey, I was listening in, and I just want to mention that divisive words like we'll be furious about going to the Big 12 in Big Lubbock. Not all Utah fans feel that way. I'm just throwing that out there for your listeners.
Got it.
Because I think that there's a contingent of Utah fans, and I would say about 20% of Utah fans, and it's growing, are comfortable with the idea of going to the Big 12 based on all the information that's come out over the last 6 months with the Pac.
Got it.
So I just don't think that's fair just to throw all Utah fans in the same bucket, because there's a fracture right now going on amongst Ute fans on really what's the best way to go with this.
And
so I just wanted to call in and say that. It's going to be a short call, but that's not how I feel about this thing at all.
Yeah.
I think actually the Big 12, given the information we have right now, would be a good decision for the Utes.
Yeah. That's natural. That's natural, right, though? I mean, at some point, there's got to be some sort of fracture. There's probably fracture. There's definitely fracture in the Colorado fan base. It's probably not 80-20, but I don't think it's 50-50 yet. Do you think? Do you think 50% of Colorado fan base, I mean, the active ones, do you think 50% of them are comfortable going to the Big 12 at this point?
Yeah, absolutely.
You think so? I believe 50%. I believe more than 50% of the Arizona fans are. I didn't know if Colorado was there at that point yet.
I think from what I've heard, Colorado fans, about 60% are there. I don't know about ASU fans. It seems like they're kind of 50-50 on it. Yeah. Utah fans are still primarily pro-Pac, but there's movement right now.
Yeah.
There's a lot of conversation right now.
Yeah.
There's been nothing before about really what's the best place, and I think people are waking up to it.
Yeah.
So it's upsetting to hear stuff, when putting other, conferences down, because that's just not how everyone feels, right? And I'm just throwing that out there.
Yeah, you're correct. You're correct. I need to do a better job of pointing that out too, but absolutely, it's a tough time. Great universities, Pac-12, very important engine of our country. They do an incredible job. So we have to put that out there more too. It's And this is odd, Wild Dude. I mean, how this saga has played out is different than any other thing we've seen in the last 30 years of craziness, right? This has been just crazy. And today is just another part of that roller coaster.
It is so crazy. It's like, what the heck is going on? I kind of, I admire San Diego State. I think they had some big kahunas today. I really do. I don't know if it's going to turn out for them. Right?
Yeah.
But I think that it's a really high risk play, but you got to admit that they threw it all down right today. They're saying we're going to the Big 12 or the Pac, and we're going to put all of our eggs in that basket.
Yeah.
And so, hey, you got to give them kudos. But anyway, Greg, I'll let somebody else jump on.
Appreciate it. Great call.
Yep, take care.
Thank you, sir. Wild Ute, back in the PATC room. Thank you, sir, for calling. He says San Diego State's got some big kahunas for writing that June 13th letter and sending out to the Mountain West Conference. If you're new to the channel, peek around the corner college football channel. This is what we do. Every live show, we do a monologue. We get to your comments. The comments that have a super chat attached to it, we get to it as soon as we possibly can. We do phone calls during the show, but please subscribe to our channel. It's the only way you're going to get notified of an upcoming live show and an upcoming episode, or when we drop an episode. We do not have scheduled times that we come on. We are continually asked here at Peek Around the Corner, when's your next live show? When we are asked when, Greg, can you come on our show? And I'm very, very appreciative of those who ask. For right now, it is impossible. It's impossible for Peek Around the Corner for myself to go to do anything else other than this show. We do not know. We do not know when we're going to pop up next. My life is talking about a roller coaster. My life is a roller coaster. So I take care of my parents. That comes first. I get as much help as possible. So we never know what is coming up next. We can pop up at any time. We could pop up later tonight. So make sure you subscribe to our channel. Again, we do not go by a schedule. I'm sorry, maybe sometime in the future we can do that. I know that's important for a lot of you all. We are not for everybody. We are the Rebel Outpost at all college football. We have our intel. We've been doing this Colorado at the center of the stage at Holy Smokes Theater. And we've had intel. We've passed it all to you even before it happened. A shot to the solar plexus, a hot bubble of action happened in the first weekend in May 7th in a big city in the Midwest. And then internally in Colorado, some important stuff happened May 24th, May 31st. We let you know. We can't quite get into the details of those two big events, but we let you know that there was something going on. We are not going to get out in front of the story. We're not going to become the story. We're just going to give you the best peek around the corner as possible. So that's our show. That's how we do it here at Peek Around the Corner. Live call-in show at the end, or after we do the monologue, after we do some comments in the comments section, we go to phone calls. We have great phone calls here, Peek Around the Corner. We have a great PATC community. This YouTube channel has grown so much in the 10 months we've existed.
Call from
Immaculate. Brian, the floor's yours. What do you got to say, good sir?
Well, first off, I just want to thank you. I want to thank you as a gopher for understanding just how deserving the Hawkeyes are.
Oh, God, the pain.
Being the last
my heart.
Western Division champion. I mean, they've carried this division for so long. Even when they're not at the top, they're carrying it. The defense, making everyone's offense have to be better. I appreciate it.
I'm dying here. I'm dying. You lose Riley. You lose a lot of guys. You did. You lost Jack Campbell, the Buckness Award winner.
Happens every year.
But who else am I going to pick? Who is? I can't pick anybody else. Wisconsin.
They put together a good team. They got guys ready to replace.
Yeah, Illinois, Wisconsin. They could challenge Purdue. I like Hudson Card, but they lose. They're not going to be there this year. Gophers are not going to be there this year. Too thin on defense.
They got a quarterback.
Huh?
I said, how can you even go against the Hawks? They actually have a quarterback. Imagine if
they have a quarterback. I do believe your offensive line is a little bit below average again. So that's...
It's Iowa.
Huh?
People say that about Iowa like all the time. It's Iowa.
Last year, your O-line was definitely below Big Ten average. No question. So, anyways, what do you got to say, Brian? Enough about the Iowa Hawkeyes.
If you were an offensive lineman, though, and you had that guy behind you, how excited are you to block for him? You're just like, what's the point? Like, it's a morale. So, anyway, I'm just kidding. But I do think that they're going to win. And we would have liked to have seen Minnesota step up there, and it's their turn. But I'm sure you guys will be fine once we get in division again.
Yeah. I don't know. I think it's if someone could tell me that the Gophers don't suffer any injuries on the defensive secondary of the linebackers, I'd say we would have a chance. But of course we're going to have injuries, and we're incredibly thin this year on defense. And of course you guys got Cooper, as Conundrum said here in the comments section. Cooper's going to have a big year.
Yeah. But someone said to move on from the Hawkeye chat. So I do actually have something to share with you.
Yeah.
I posted it earlier. It's the cubus.com. On the 23rd of last month, they had a little posting here. They are doing work on the track and field POTS field. So it's entirely possible that they're having a meeting.
Sure.
For further expenditure on it. It's not out of the question. So.
Oh yeah, no question about it. It probably is. It probably is about the track and field.
And I hate to say it, it's kind of starting to look like the whole PAC situation is similar to how when they try to get Texas, and that they're trying to make a lot of noise. Like, look how much people want our schools. Our network deal should be worth more, and it kind of seems like they're just making a big show of everything at this point, or the Big Ten and the Big 12 aren't actually looking at them, and they're actually looking east. I don't know. We'll find out.
Okay.
But at this point in time, it just kind of seems like it was a whole lot of attention getting going on with the PAC.
I've been saying lately, where's the Pac-12 deal? Where's the Pac-12 deal? One of the things, and people can take this however they want it, is, I talk to people daily. I talk to people who are a lot smarter than I am, Brian, who've got 1,000 more connections, sources than we have. And you know what they tell me? They have no clue what this deal is going to look like. None. Yeah. I know we all hear from Ashan and Aran. We read articles, but no one has a clue. And the San Diego State situation today, to me, they obviously got told that Pac-12 is not anywhere close. This cannot continue. This just can't. That's all I got to say.
I don't think that they have a deal. Like the best idea I've seen put forward, we just had in chat, is if CW and Apple teamed up together. But where's the line drawn? Like, who gets what? Who gets to show what? Are we overlapping? Like, expecting these two companies to just get along and figure out how to do this when they haven't been doing it at all. That's a stretch. So I still don't see it either. I'm wondering if maybe some of them are actually ready to go, but the places they want to go to now aren't ready for it. We're starting to see smoke from the East. And if the East is actually looking like it could move.
Yeah, that's the one thing. That is the one part of this big, huge landscape that I'm finding myself in the minority on, because even though we on December 26, 2022, we went out there and said, look, Florida State Money Perch is telling us that Florida State in a couple months are going to be starting to talk about this, discussing this. And then at some point in the first quarter, second quarter in 2024, they may be, or some other school may be ready to challenge the grant of rights. I think that this ACC story is going to be a long one. And I don't think that's going to have any, how do I say it? We're not going to have resolution in it in late 2023. We're not going to have resolution in that story in 2024. So when people say the Big Ten has interest in the East, absolutely they do. Of course they do. But I don't think Big Ten thinks they're not ready to pounce. They're not ready to take action. And they're not going to be for a while. Now, if we hear something different at Peek Around the Corner, we'll say it. But I think people have to put on the brakes just a little bit when it comes to the ACC story, which is going to be a long one, a dramatic one, a huge one that's going to have incredible implications everywhere.
If I may.
Yes.
I agree wholeheartedly that if this comes down to fighting the gore, this is a long struggle. Just legally, just finding the judge who wants to even listen to it.
Yeah.
It would be a long process, which is why I think that may not be the best route. The other route's very expensive. I don't know exactly how it gets done nuts and bolts wise, but it's certainly a lot quicker. And that's if the Big Ten, the SEC, and the Big 12 all take part and you just get everyone out. And if you got the networks that are willing to support it, once again, I don't have the nuts and bolts numbers to do that, but it's the quick way. And that's, in my opinion, inarguable. How it actually happened, I don't know. But if ESPN actually gave Big 12 a deal because they wanted them to also help with this, something like this, well, the Pac couldn't do it, that's for sure. So if they just need to move some schools from the ACC to the Big 12 just so that they don't make a problem of it, because they'll still get equal money. They'll still be in with ESPN and probably getting shown on ESPN as much as they are at the ACC because they don't get shown much.
Yeah.
Actually, I think if that happens, the Big Ten takes the least amount of schools, which is why I think they're just poking the bear. They're like, get on it, SEC, if this is real. I'm just saying.
Yeah. No, I get what you're saying. Yeah.
They would use people in the media like they always do. They use McMurphy. They use guys like that. Big Ten's big on that. They would be pushing them like, we're going to take FSU. We're going to take North Carolina. We're going to take Virginia unless you do something about it. And so that's why we have the Magnificent Seven. Who knows what's going on with that? I think that requires the SEC to take a boatload of schools. And if you know the SEC, that's not something they're going to be comfortable with. They're going to need to see some big checks. That's why I don't think that they made a decision on the 9 games. I think that they're saving that for negotiations. Like, why give it away for free when you can make them pay for it?
Yeah.
So
yeah.
I think if this is all actually going on and isn't just, hearsay, then there's going to be zero eyes on the Pac. They can make as much noise as they want, but all hands on deck for the East. They're going to need all the money they can get, all the attention they can get, and somehow all the cooperation that they can get. So I don't know if that's the case, but if that's going on, that would explain why the Pac is just kind of sitting there. Because the ACC and all the population over there and everything, it's a much bigger grab.
Yeah.
Just my thoughts on that one.
All right.
As far as San Diego State, who knows, man.
Yeah.
Always enjoy talking to you, buddy.
Thanks. Appreciate it, buddy. Thanks, Brian. Great phone call. Great phone call. We're going to wrap it up here at Peek Around the Corner. Thanks for joining us. Again, subscribe to the channel because we could pop up at any time. You'll get notified when we do. Follow us at Flag Empire on Twitter. San Diego State sends a letter June 13th with an intention to resign from the Mountain West Conference. They wanted a 1-month delay. They wanted to negotiate with the Mountain West Conference to get a 1-month delay before the extra exit penalty cash gets added. And I don't think the Mountain West Conference is going to go for it. They don't really have any reason to go for it. San Diego State has no leverage. And somebody must have told San Diego State, J.D. Wicker, somebody must have told him and the president from the Pac-12 that a deal's not going to get done here in the next couple weeks. You better try to work out something with the Mountain West Conference. Holy smokes. Stick with us here at Peek Around the Corner. We're going to follow this story and others. Thank you so much for joining us. Thank you for the donations. Thank you for smashing that like button if you liked our content. Until next time, from all of us at PATC to all of you, please, until next time, you all take great care of each other.